This is our podcast on World War II. World War II was a horrific event that had taken place realistically not all too long ago, but let's just start about talking about how it started.
The Second World War started in 1939 when Nazi Germany invaded Poland from the west and the Soviet Union invaded from the east.
Well, more accurately, it started when Germany was screwed over in the Treaty of Versailles. This led to the Nazi Party forming to protest the treaty.
Yeah, and the Nazi Party was quickly taken over by Hitler and soon became the dominant political party in Germany, with the sole goal of making Germany a powerhouse within Europe once again and wanting to get revenge on the other countries after World War I.
It says here in 1928 the Nazi Party had 12 seats in the German parliament, which is one of the smallest in the nation. By 1932, the Nazi Party had 230 seats and became the largest party in Germany.
Yeah, isn't that how they added that chancellor system to get Hitler in power?
Well, kind of. The chancellor was the president and the vice president, or was the vice chancellor. Paul von Hindenburg was chancellor, and since the Nazi Party was the largest party, he agreed to appoint Hitler as vice chancellor.
Shortly after Hitler became the vice chancellor, Paul von Hindenburg, the chancellor at the time in Germany, ended up dying, which instantly put Hitler in the position to become the new chancellor of Germany, putting him in the pinnacle spot of power, which made the Nazis the undetermined powerhouse of political parties within Germany.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. And after they began to make stuff for war, which was illegal according to the Treaty of Versailles, but no one stopped them, so they decided they could just invade Poland, and again, no one stopped them.
Not exactly. They did beef up their military after President Hindenburg died in 1933. After Hitler took over and became the supreme leader, also known as the Führer, the treaty said that they couldn't have more than 100,000 soldiers, have no air force, and no navy. Also, they could put troops on the border. They couldn't put troops on the border with France, with orders to run. Oh my gosh. Also, they put troops on the border of France with orders to run if French troops came. Nothing happened. After which, German troops walked into Austria and took it. After that, there was a conference where the United Kingdom and France agreed to give Germany the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia.
You see, all of this ends up stemming from the end of World War I, when Germany had to sign an armistice in France in order to end the war over on the Western Front. The armistice they ended up signing was seen as a death sentence to Germany, as it would make it beyond hard to defend themselves, among other things.
I hate to be that guy, but Germany wasn't the only major enemy power in World War II, like fascist Italy.
Yeah, you're right. And where's a better place to start rather than the leader of Italy during World War II and an ally to Hitler, Benito Mussolini?
Benito Mussolini became the supreme leader in Italy in 1922, becoming the Dukes. Mussolini founded the Fascist Party in 1919. Mussolini led the March on Rome in 1922, which was violent. King Victor Emmanuel III appointed Mussolini as prime minister to avoid a civil war.
Yeah, I'm told that he was the youngest prime minister in Italy history, with him being an eager opportunist. He often used the law to ruin other political parties. Then after, he established his own cult with him at the head, because he was considered a genius for fixing Italy, well, kind of, by inspiring the demoralized country.
I heard that he ran in a general election as a fascist candidate, but ended up losing to a socialist sweep. About 2 days later, he ended up getting arrested on the charges of allegedly collecting arms to overthrow the government.
He did run a general election before the March on Rome and lost to a socialist. He was also arrested in Switzerland for writing against socialism. He fled Italy to Switzerland so he didn't have to participate in the military service, after which he fled Italy to get free. Then back to Switzerland, arrested again, then back to Italy. Finally, after all that, he did his military service.
You know, I think it's about time we start talking about Mussolini and Hitler's alliance between the two countries of Germany and Italy.
Yeah, it was called the Pact of Steel, which was made in May of 1939, which was the first formal or direct pact between Hitler and Mussolini.
But the relationship goes further back than that. In 1936, Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini signed the Rome-Berlin Axis, which was a military and political pact. They signed it after the Italian invasion of Ethiopia.
Oh, that reminds me. With Italy's invasion of Ethiopia, we should probably talk about their roles in World War II, like Hitler's idea to airstrike the major cities in Britain to scare the people, which kind of shows how Hitler understood the people.
Yeah, Hitler was really a dominant force when it came to both the air and navy, and overall, he was just smarter when it came to playing on the ground. But in the air, he absolutely dominated everything, and there was definitely a huge reason why his plans to scare people of Britain worked out so well. It also showed off to the rest of the world that Germany wasn't a pushover in this war.
After the invasion of Poland, Germany invaded Denmark, Norway, Holland, Belgium, Luxembourg, then France. It only took Germany 6 hours and was able to take Denmark, same with Holland. When France was about to fall is when Italy declared war on the United Kingdom. Interestingly enough, after Germany took Holland, Hitler appointed Kaiser Wilhelm to be in charge.
Well, anyway, back to Hitler. Shortly after he managed to take France in 6 months, he decided that the north and west of France was going to be under his control, although the residents didn't really agree with that.
Shortly after the fall of France, much things happened. The Battle of Britain took place. After a while, Britain won and still had control over the British Channel. Most of the French colonies in Africa didn't want to be under Hitler's or Mussolini's influence, so they chose to join a pact to free France.
Oh, all of those colonies in Africa remind me of Italy's attempt at conquest in those colonies. Mussolini, he was a major power axis during the war and did end up being a very good ally towards the start of World War II, but towards the end, he went throughout Africa and Greece and had some humiliating defeats, which ended up requiring constant intervention from German forces.
Yeah, Italy had a pretty weak military defense at the end and was relying on Germany to bail them out, which all came to a head when the Allies made landfall in Africa and managed to push Italy and Germany out. Then they headed to the Greek islands and managed to take Sicily in July of 1943, which by that point, the fall of Italy was imminent.
After the Allies took Sicily and made landfall on mainland Italy, Mussolini was voted out by his own people in the party that he created, and the new government signed a peace treaty with the Allies. After that, Hitler sent troops to Italy to restore its government and started the Salo Republic with Mussolini as its leader. In 1945, Mussolini tried to flee Italy for Switzerland, where his convoy was intercepted and he was taken. The next day was April 28th, he was executed.
Now it's about time we wrap this up, so I'll start with Germany's push to Stalingrad. Germany was hoping to secure the oil and the Volga transport route up in Stalingrad, but the Soviet counteroffensive put too much pressure on the Germans. But due to Hitler's refusal to allow them to retreat, it resulted in the total destruction of the Sixth Army on February 2nd, 1943.
Oh yeah, that's when the Soviets pushed Germany to Poland from the east, and then meanwhile the Allies were planning to landfall to take Europe back.
On June 6, 1944, British, Canadian, and American forces all landed on the beaches of Normandy. They pushed the German forces out of France and into Belgium and Germany. The Allies were able to push the Germans back into the Netherlands and to the Rhine River. With the Allies on the east and west of him, Adolf Hitler committed suicide on April 30th, 1945.
And with the fall of the two most important people in the war on Europe, it was over.